Have you been contemplating to do a PhD and you're wondering whether it is worth it and how long it's going to take you to finish it? I want to walk you through how I finished my PhD in 4 years and used it to boost my income. My name is Dr. Zek. I'm a hustler, investor, and an author, and I am a PhD holder. A quick disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm called Dr. Zek because of a PhD in plant science that I obtained from Lincoln University in New Zealand. So please don't ask me about painkillers, paracetamols, or antibiotics. I only treat plants and here and there animals, not human beings. So here's my story, how I got my PhD in 4 years. Along the way, I also give you some advice, not only of how you can finish and pass, but also how you can finish the PhD in the shortest possible way. So let's dive straight into it. I'll try to cut it short and only give you some highlights. So the first thing that I did was to apply, of course, and got admitted, enrolled into the university, into the institution. That took me about 2 months. So the application is not that long. As long as your papers are in order, I only had to provide the paperwork, my degree transcript, and also my degree certificates. When I was admitted, I was so happy to start uni again. Finally, my dreams were going to be achieved. I was going to achieve my dreams, my long-time dreams. I really wanted to do that PhD for a long time. The initial stages of doing a PhD is when you get there, you're allocated some supervisors. Usually it's 2 or more, at least 2 supervisors. In my case, I was given 2 supervisors. PhD supervisors are the people who mentor you, guide you through the research process, and they are also part of the examiners. I held several meetings with them, and we agreed on a topic which is in line with the area of expertise. My advice is, when you are given your supervisors, make sure you get along with those supervisors, because your supervisors play a critical role for you to achieve the PhD. So they are the make or break factors, because supervisors are also part of the examiners. They are very instrumental in approving the stages of PhD. Don't fight with your supervisors. I have so many people who fought with supervisors. A war with supervisors is not a winnable battle. They are already part of the system. They are trusted more than you, a mere person who is anticipating to get a PhD. The other important thing about supervisors is they can also be your career advisors. Usually when you are a PhD student, you help your supervisors to teach undergraduate classes. So they give you that job, and they're your managers, they're supervisors in that job. Number 2, they can also facilitate your employment when you graduate. In my case, my supervisors were the referees for the job that I got as soon as I graduated. The timeline. The whole period took me about little less than 4 years. Usually a PhD is a 3 to 4 year degree program. In the science, it's normally a 4-year degree program. It's very rare for people to complete below 4 years. It's not unusual for people to take 7 years, even full time. Some people take 10 years to complete a PhD. So doing a PhD is not a walk in the park. It's not easy, but it's achievable. If I could achieve a PhD, you too can achieve it. You can do the same. However, it took some people more than 15 years to complete a PhD, and some never finished. I'm not saying this to scare you off, but I'm just trying to tell you the reality that a PhD is a big commitment. It can take a toll on you, but it's also very achievable. When you achieve it, you will rejoice. Take it seriously from the start. Hit the ground running and don't waste no time, because in PhD, every minute counts, every second counts towards your success in completing it. I then did my research proposals and wrote it up. This involved formulating goals, hypotheses, literature review, a budget, and a Gantt chart. So my advice when you're writing a project proposal is take it very seriously, because that proposal will form part of the dissertation or thesis. There comes presentation. During research proposal presentation, you are presenting to a group of academics, students, and everyone who is interested in your subject area. Unlike a master's degree where you can get away with being very original, PhD, they are very serious with your originality. You can't just repeat what has been studied before. That's why you have got to do a very exhaustive literature review to make sure you don't repeat what has been done already. If it has been already done, there's no way they will give you that PhD. Your results will need to contribute to the body of knowledge, not just repeating what someone else has done. Otherwise, everyone else will have a PhD. I completed my presentation and got approved in a little under 6 months. From there, I started my fieldwork straight away. In the field of plant sciences, you must have 2 data sets or 2 seasons of data. So I did my field trials for 2 seasons, which are the required prerequisites. My advice is, as soon as you start your fieldwork, or as soon as you start the research, also start writing your dissertation straight away. Don't wait until you are in the final year. Don't leave writing to the end. Otherwise, you won't finish in 4 years. If you want to finish a PhD quicker, start the write-up as soon as you finish the proposal. As soon as you start the experiments. What I did is, when I was collecting my data and doing my fieldwork, I was also writing up. Make sure each time you're writing up, you're also working together with your supervisors, getting them to mark your work and giving you feedback. Give your supervisor pressure to have meetings with you. Otherwise, they can't be bothered. A PhD is an independent research. You are on the driving seat. Unlike a master's degree, normally a PhD does not have taught classes. You only go to your supervisors for advice. And if you don't go to them, they don't come to you. If you ignore them, they don't come to you. That's the bad part of it. So you've got to be pushing them. Usually they are very busy people, and they might forget about you. It's your thing. It's your PhD that you want. And if they notice that you give them pressure, they also act accordingly. Remember, they've got other students they're supervising. Remember, if you don't finish on time, it's not their fault. I wrote up my dissertation and managed to finish the dissertation in the 3rd year and submitted it. My supervisors were happy with the write-up, and so they put it through the system for it to be approved for examination. So what happens is, when you are through with the write-up, when you're approved to go through the examination, you've got to do the defense. It's defending your thesis. They call it vivo. This is where you sit in the room with some external examiners including your supervisors, who will start bombarding you with questions of how you did the research and how your research is original and all sorts of things. You have to prove to them that your results are contributing to the body of knowledge. That is how you defend your thesis. So I went into the room to defend my thesis in front of more than 10 academics. On that day, your supervisors are sitting in the opposite. They are there to help you, of course, but they can't defend it for you. Sometimes they'll also be questioning you again. You would wonder, why are you questioning you? We're doing this all together. Why are you giving me some questions as well? But they'll be just trying to clarify to the external supervisors that this guy who trained him is now full of knowledge. He knows what he's doing. So some of the questions they're asking you is just to prove to their colleagues that our candidate knows what they're doing. We have taught him well, or we have taught her well. They were grilling me with questions. I was sweating a lot, obviously, but each time I answered questions, I saw my supervisors nodding and smiling. Then I knew that I was nailing it. After about an hour, the meeting was over, the examination was over. They all said, "Hello, Dr. Zek, and welcome to the Academic Hall of Fame." On that day, I was officially declared Dr. Zek Mnakangwe. I successfully defended my thesis. That is the day I knew I had passed. I passed my degree with minor amendments. They only told me to fix some few things and submit my dissertation to the library. That was how I finished. My advice on defending a thesis is get there prepared, well prepared. Know your stuff. Read through your dissertation before you go to the examination. What they normally ask you mostly is just about your research and nothing else. They just be asking you what is within your research. They're asking you what is in your dissertation. They're asking you orally. So you must know your stuff. You must know how you researched and your results. So you know what you achieved and also what you failed to achieve. These are recommendations for future studies. This is how academic works. Remember, your supervisors are your friends, but during the defense, they're a bit neutral. They can go either way. As long as your supervisors are happy with you, they will try as much as possible to help you to defend your thesis as well. If you have been fighting with your supervisor, they will leave you alone in the cold. I told you that this is a special advice. That is my story. This is how the PhD helped me. Before I even graduated, after defending my thesis, I got a job in the nearby institution within the university. And my supervisors, like I said, were my referees. So I started working well before I even graduated. What was interesting was my manager at the new job told me he was going to do some business cards for me and was going to put a PhD on the cards. I told him to wait because I had not graduated yet. So he went away and did the business cards anyway. He had two sets of them, one set with a PhD and the other set with just an MSc. He said to me, in case you don't graduate, you still got a job, but we will use this card with MSc and BSc only. If you graduate, you will use the ones with a PhD, Masters of Science, and also a BSc. That was so fun. So I had two sets of cards with me. Thank God I graduated, and then I threw away the other cards which didn't have the PhD. After my probation period, my salary was boosted because I was performing over and beyond expectation. That PhD really helped me to boost my income. It's not always obvious that PhD boosts incomes, because usually the PhD and MSc salaries are not that different. I'll do a separate video when I'll describe how PhD does not necessarily lend you a higher paying job. So this is how I did my PhD in less than 4 years and boosted my income. Don't worry about my madness sometimes. That's what people with PhD do. You can't pass a PhD when you're normal. All PhD people are mad people, they're all mad. Oh, that's why you hear of mad professors. There's no one who is usually well upstairs in academics. They're all mad people. Don't call your supervisor a mad person, you will not pass that dissertation. I hope you have learned something out of this that will help you to pass and finish your PhD within the shortest possible time. Press the like button if you like the content and share the video. Also, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. This is Dr. Zek signing out.